I don't know if you're a superstitious type. I mean, clearly you're working very hard as a managing team, but do you almost, the way it started this season, find yourself avoiding cracks on pavements and just because you want to keep this going? Because it's an incredible start. You must be so proud of them.
Yeah, obviously delighted with everything so far, the players, the staff, everyone, the contribution that everyone's put in, the hard work. Obviously leading into the start of the season has been really, really good and impressive. And listen, we've just got to stay humble and keep working really, really hard and try and make it as hard as we possibly can for the opposition. And it's going to be no different on Saturday. It's going to be a really, really tough fixture.
And you must have been really pleased with the players on Tuesday night, because some of them, by outsiders, might be termed fringe, but they came in and made their case to be in your starting 11 for league games.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that was the message before the game. The reality is they've been unfortunate that they haven't played as many minutes so far this season, but there's a reason for that. Obviously, the players that have been playing and played the majority of the game, you know, their performances have been at a level that's made it difficult for the rest of the lads to get in. So it was very much, you know, come on, make sure that I'm aware that you're ready as and when needed.
A real proof that age has been a number. You had two centre-halves who were 20 and 17. We were struggling to remember the last time Lincoln would have had that. And it's just proof that if you invest in the right talented players, you can get results.
Yeah, definitely. You're right. I mean, you know, a lot's made about age, and obviously when I first come in, I did make a big deal of that we needed to reduce the age of the squad, and that wasn't to try and be clever or to be some kind of smart so-and-so, but it was just basically that, you know, over a period of time, we knew that we were going to have a small squad, and we knew that we'd have to have players that would be able to play in various positions, and to do that, there's no doubt about it, you need more of a youthful squad. So to see Sean and TJ perform as they did the other night was obviously encouraging for everybody.
Before I ask you about the game coming up, just ask you about a story that's been doing the rounds this week. I think it's the Manchester City CEOs talked about B teams coming into the Football League. I just wonder, you've had, obviously you've been involved with West Brom on the youth development side. You can see potentially advantages, I guess, for the bigger clubs. But I just wonder where you stand on B teams coming into the Football League itself, not just in the cup competition.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fan, put it that way. You know, the reality is, I think the argument against it is that, you know, we'll lose a lot of football clubs because of it. And the reality is a lot of football clubs up and down the country, as we've seen through COVID, is the hub of the community. And it's no different for us in Lincoln. It's probably as difficult for us at Lincoln to not have the fans in the stadium as it is probably any other club up and down the country. The support that we get and the backing that we get when they are in the stadium. So to sort of not have that or be part of some kind of B team, I'm not a fan. And listen, I understand why the big wigs want to do it and they get it. But the reality is, you know, there needs to be a time where people need to stand up to them and say, look, enough's enough. You know, you do what you're doing and we'll do what we're doing.
Do you think more of perhaps the players they're trying to get experience for either need to come out, or actually the big clubs shouldn't perhaps be quite so big and these players should be getting their experience at clubs like Lincoln City or Exeter City or wherever else?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? At the end of the day, that's why there's a loan system. If they want players to get exposure and get experience, then send them out on loan to clubs. The problem you've got with some clubs, I'm not saying this is Man City by any stretch of imagination, but some clubs at the top end, they pay the players that much. They've not even played a league game or a competitive game, but they're earning 5 or 6 times more than probably our highest paid players in League One. So they can't have both worlds. They've either got to allow clubs in League One and League Two to play their players and allow them to go out on loan either for free or a very reduced amount, or play them in their own first team to gain experience.
And just finally on this, I think, you know, when you were at Oxford, you've seen a great example of this. I saw it with Lincoln a couple of years ago at Wembley. You went to Wembley with Oxford. You know, we're talking about second and third and fourth tier football clubs taking 30,000 people to a game. It doesn't happen in many countries. No,
it doesn't. You know, you're right. And you've only got to look at the fact that the Championship, our second tier, you know, league is the 5th most supported league in the world, or certainly in Europe anyway. Yeah, I mean, like you say, Lincoln beating Shrewsbury in the EFL Cup. I've been there myself with Oxford, 30,000-40,000 people. You can't beat them type of days. And unfortunately, from my point of view, my experiences wasn't particularly great because I lost twice. But you guys, before I arrived at Lincoln, I can only imagine what a fantastic day it was, and for everyone to sort of feel that they were part of that as a community must have been great.
Moving on to the game, it might sound another thing to say, but it's almost the game, the type of game waiting to trip you up, isn't it? Because if we'd spoken at the start of the season, I said you were going to beat Oxford, you're going to go away to Blackpool, and when you'd beat MK Dons, you'd get the 4 results that you'd had. Obviously, Charlton thrown in there as well. You'd have taken all of that, and you'd have thought, well, Bristol Rovers maybe not quite on that sort of level, but we all know that's not how football works.
No, absolutely, and there's a couple of things. Obviously, Bristol probably feel that they've not got off to the start that they probably would have wanted, and the reason to say that is that they invested heavily in the summer. They spent quite a bit of dough on players. They've got a massive squad, well over 30 players when you look at the squad, and obviously they're very physical side. I think they'll come and make it very, very difficult for us and try and probably dominate us physically. But we've got to make sure that we match that and we deal that in the right way. And obviously from our point of view, we've got a couple of players out who give us a little bit of an X factor at times, so to speak. So obviously Brennan being away with the Welsh squad, he obviously played a big part in the game at Blackpool last week. So that will be a big miss.
Other than the 3 international players, have you got any other injury problems?
We've got 1 or 2 knocks, but I do expect them to, come through and be available for tomorrow.
Bristol Rovers is one of the sides that get to face last year as the Lincoln manager. What are your previous experiences there, and what has that led you to expect from?
I'm very, very hesitant to answer this question because at Oxford they were a little bit of a bogey side of mine. We had some good battles, and there was numerous occasions where I felt we were dominant against Bristol Rovers in the past at my previous club, and fell short. We did beat them a couple of times, but not enough for me. I have come up against them a few times and been on the wrong side of a couple of results that were sore to take at the time. So hopefully it'll be different tomorrow.
And you spoke to Michael earlier about how perhaps not the start they wanted. Do you think it's misleading when you look at the start they've had as well when they've played the like Ipswich? They've also had. Do you think their standards could be misleading?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the fixtures sort of speak for themselves sometimes when they come out. You can feel that you've got an easy start, a tough start. I think when I looked at our fixtures, when we knew we had, and no disrespect to MK Dons, but when I knew we had Charlton, Oxford and Blackpool in the first 4 games, you're thinking, oh wow, that's going to be a tough start. And obviously, with the money that we spent down at Bristol Rovers, again, that first 5 games, you're thinking to yourself, what a tough start to the season that's going to be. And don't get it wrong, it's been an incredibly tough start. It's just that we've sort of come on the right side of the results in the first 4 games. So I've got no doubts it's going to be a really, really tough game tomorrow. We've got some real threats, some real dangerous players in their squad. And we're going to be prepared for them. We'll be ready for them. But I do expect them to sort of be up there this year with the investment they've made.
And obviously, last week was one of the rare times, if ever, that your side was fine. Are you happy with the character they're showing back from that? Have you learned anything new from that?
I mean, it's one of them where I think just before COVID, there was 3 or 4 occasions where we sort of come from behind and either drew the game and won the game. And that was with sort of only half the group. Not even that, supposed to what we've got now. But the reality is that obviously with this new group, it was the first time we went behind. So for them to sort of deal with that, come back and win the game was great. There's not been an occasion other than the Liverpool this year that we have gone behind in a game and not come back. So, I mean, I was asked the question yesterday, and you sort of forget that we've had 9 competitive games this year. And when you realise that you've won 8 of them, it's you can only sort of be positive towards the players and the staff and everyone who's contributed. So I think from my point of view, you know, it's another game, it's another opportunity to, you know, work as hard as we possibly can and try and implement our style in the game. And hopefully that's good enough to beat the opposition.